Hello, I'm Damien Barrett and welcome to Access All Areas. We know it's tight in the top 8, but tell me, how many teams can actually win the flag, Matthew Lloyd?
I think there's 6, Damo. I think the bottom 2 in the 8, which is North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles, are really struggling. I think West Coast just haven't beaten a team inside the top 8, so I rule them out at the moment. And North Melbourne, with Goldstein being sore, I think that the midfield doesn't kick enough goals. They're my doubts on those 2 teams. I don't think they can win it, but the top 6 can.
It's been a long time since we would have been able to say there's 6 premiership chances after around 15 stage of a season.
Well, the ladder's just brilliant at the moment. You've got Hawthorn a game clear, and then you've got, 5 or 6 teams, or 5 teams, all on 10 wins. I think we're set for a brilliant final series.
Okay, the Crows keep doing just what they have to do. Yesterday it was against Melbourne at the MCG. They had 8 goals kicked against them in the second quarter, regained their composure in this period of play that we're watching now, kicked some quick goals in quick succession, good goals, and they sit pretty now.
Yeah, it wasn't their best performance, Damo, but they got the job done on the road against a team on the rise in Melbourne. Melbourne, when they're on, are quite a dangerous team, and I look at the Adelaide Crows side and they don't lack for too much. I think with Lever coming in and McGovern, these type of players, they've added to their defence and obviously attack. And then you've got the 2 smalls in Cameron and Betts, who we see here. We all know their forward line's brilliant, and Jenkins, Walker and Tom Lynch, but I think their back line's a lot stronger. The Crouch brothers are in. Brad Crouch has got back in. Matty Crouch is having a great month. So it's all there for them, the Adelaide Crows this year.
They've won 4 of their past 5 at the MCG now. That obviously goes back to last year as well. But their run home, Lordo, if it's not the easiest of the contenders, it's the second easiest. GWS maybe also on paper. Only 1 game against the team in the top 7 remains in their last 8.
Yeah, it's all there for them. And I think that the history shows you've got to get to that top 4 position. Some think that you can win it outside the top 4. But I think still, teams will be sorted out in the next 7 weeks. We've still got a fair way to go towards finals. If they can get top 2, get a home final at the Adelaide Oval, it sets it up for them.
They've had so much go wrong historically in recent times, and the players exiting the club against the players coming in. I think every day of the week, take at least the top 4 names on that list on the left. But the ones that have come in, Lordo, within 2016, they're all playing a crucial role and it's acting collectively to give this team the chance you say it is.
Well, I look at Hawthorn and why they're so strong, and it's the way they recruit, and they recruit really well, and they get players in for a purpose. We'll talk about Richmond later. Their recruiting hasn't been for a purpose. It's been a stopgap. And I think the Adelaide Crows got Betts. They knew he'd be a star. They paid him $500,000 when a lot of people thought they shouldn't. He's been brilliant for him. Josh Jenkins, they saw something in Jenkins that could add to their list, and there's other players there. Kyle Cheney's played a role for them. So there've been some. Sam Jacobs, a star player. So they haven't just got players in for the sake of it. They've been really good for Adelaide.
You mentioned Betts, and a bit like his club yesterday, did what he had to do, particularly in the third quarter. This, though, in the second quarter, Lordo, look, a bit of showboating going around. You can't be too critical of this going on, though, can you?
No, I don't think so. You take the good with the bad. I think he's like Stevie Johnson. You're going to have the odd moment like this, but I think 90% of what he does is good. He's a team player. You just maybe think he thought he had less time, but if he had his time again, he'd pick that up.
Okay, Jason Johannisen returned to the Bulldogs after a long time out with a hamstring. Quite extraordinary how he was able to read the situation, read the moment, and then deliver this. This is, as you can see, the final play. Bontempelli sees him loose. Lloydie, I know you love going behind the scenes and you've got some exclusive down-the-ground vision here to tell us what the Swans did wrong.
Well, let's take a look at it here. You see, obviously, Bontempelli marked the ball. Johannisen was aware that there's space opening up. The team that wasn't aware is the Sydney Swans. So take a look at this. There's 6 actually Swans players in that circle, all within 15 metres of each other. Not good enough. You spread back. Bontempelli has missed goals in the past. He missed the big one in recent time. There's Dean Towers at the top of the screen there who have circled. Again, he was involved in an incident earlier. Reacted far too late. Make Bontempelli make the hard shot. It's become easier for Johannisen early on. So it's not the first time that they've let a game slip late in the game. And it's going to cost them. They should be a game clear on top of the ladder.
And this one you referred to, round 8 against the Western Bulldogs. What are you highlighting here? Against Richmond. You highlighted this at the time. That's Dane Rampy on the right of the screen there.
Again, not knowing the situation. So Rampy, what's he influencing here? This is when Sam Lloyd, obviously, the build-up to the Lloyd goal at round 8 after the siren. Rampy just didn't influence the play whatsoever. So again, if they played their cards right, maybe Bontempelli would have kicked that goal, but definitely that one there they should have won. But they could be a game clear on top.
Yeah, they're 10-4. They should be 12-2.
And Longmire said they were out-hunted on the weekend. So for all Sydney's strengths, they've been disappointing late in a few games.
Bulldogs just continue to be an amazing story, don't they? How they've acted and reacted to Luke Beveridge coming into the club at the start of last year.
Well, we all know they're a good side, the Bulldogs, but I've been fearing that luck's going to be against them, and you need luck to win a premiership, just having all your players fit at the right time of the season. And it was just great to see Johannisen back with plenty of time before the finals. Easton Wood come back from injury.
Yep.
Clay Smith, a depth player who gets back for them. So it's all there for the Bulldogs as well. I think they don't lack for too much either. Probably there's that forward setup.
Yep.
Who's going to be alongside Stringer is probably the one area I'm not so sure about at the moment. Is it Boyd or is it Redpath?
Yeah, that will be the debate to come. You mentioned precise kicking there from the Bulldogs, particularly Jason Johannisen. Someone who is a polar opposite to him, although is this man Levi Casbolt. It's been the bane of his career, and it's not just in front of goal that it's a problem now for him and his footy club Carlton. In this unwatchable game against Collingwood, these were some pretty low moments.
Yeah, both teams were poor by foot, but let's focus on Casbolt. And it's been spoken about for 2 years now. Can they keep playing Casbolt when he kicks like this? And this was to put them within one goal with 9, and they had momentum, 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. And I talk about Sav Rocca. I read an article last week with Sav Rocca saying they couldn't pay him the $10,000 that they paid him last year, and he was doing 2 sessions a week plus game day. He improved Levi last year, and yet they couldn't find the $10,000. And Levi has gone backwards at a rate of knots. He was kicking at 50 to 60% last year, back to 30% this year. He's nearly unplayable again.
Really?
With the way he's kicking, and yet they let Sav Rocca go. Huge mistake.
It's hard to analyse in a show like this, but if there's one thing that he's not doing now that he was doing last year, what is it?
I would watch Sav Rocca and Levi get out there for 15 minutes before the game, going through a routine, and he improved. I don't see Levi doing that anymore. At training, I wouldn't see probably anyone focusing as hard on Levi as Sav Rocca was. So I reckon it's something that all AFL clubs need to look at, and they need to help save his career. I'm not sure if anyone's doing what Sav Rocca was at Carlton for him.
St Kilda ran hard against Geelong the previous week, and it gave them and everyone else some cause for hope for the future, but they then had a reality check against the Suns on the weekend. Lordo, the Suns did to them what they did to the Cats last week.
Well, if you want to give Nick Malcheski here and Jared Harbrow, who we'll see later on, time and space, you're asking for trouble. Those guys, particularly Malcheski, hasn't had a good time at the Suns because time's been put into him.
And even some of these balls here too, Lotto, they're not coming in cleanly either. They're just getting smashed by the Saints.
They took 149 marks on the weekend, which is unheard of. 88 more than St Kilda. So St Kilda didn't come with the right attitude. You know, they've had a good month, St Kilda. They've won 4 of their last 5. But look, Harbrow, these guys love that. They love an outside game. There was no tackles in the game from both sides. And with the talent on the Gold Coast list with their players back, St Kilda are always going to be beaten this way.
They look good, the Suns. You can see a future on the back of that game, but the Saints are yet again flaky.
Yeah, I think the Suns, they're getting their players back, so they're going to, I reckon, win more than half their games on the run home.
Now, you haven't been part of this yet, but one of the features of the Access All Areas season are the wash-ups that happen after round 23, Lordo. We're going to go early, though, today. We're not going to wait till the end of the season. We know what's happening to Richmond before we have to get to that stage. Just tell us one thing, or at least a couple of things, that the Tigers now need to do in 2017 as part of the Tigers wash-up. Well,
they're going to cull their list. I think they'll keep Damien Hardwick, but they'll clear out assistant coaches. I think the recruiting's going to be heavily looked at, but their skill level's poor. Their game style, I don't think, stacks up well enough, so Damien Hardwick's got to look at that. I could easily just cross off 10 guys without even trying at Richmond.
But can you actually realistically do that within the confines of one trade period?
I think you can. Carlton did it last. I think Carlton cleared out 15 last year. And I think they'll be better for it. And they brought in guys from the GWS who maybe weren't going to get a game there, who have added to their depth. So I look at guys like Townsend and Moore that they brought in last year. And then you've still got guys like Conker and Vickery who you could maybe package up and move on. And then you've got Chaplin, who's just about gone. Marich is gone. So there's just so many issues at Richmond. Their top 5 is brilliant. Underneath that's poor. And I'll ask you, who's their best young player at Richmond? And it doesn't jump out at you.
Look, the people who I speak to in that space, Menadue's one, but it's not as if he's there now, is he?
No. So I look at Fremantle. At least they've had Weller and Blakely, who have come through and been rising stars in the last month. Who's that at Richmond? Rioli, give him some time.
You're painting a pretty bleak immediate future here.
I just think that their planning hasn't been great, and I think they need to go backwards. Doesn't matter how Hardwick's feeling about his future, they need to go backwards. He said, I need to take a few steps forward, backwards to go forward. Then he said 6 weeks later, I've got the best list in my time at Richmond.
Yep.
Bare bit of confusion there. They've got to go backwards and start all over again.
Go back to Thursday night to have a look at a goal kicked here late in the piece or in the third quarter by Luke Shuey. Now, there's a celebration technique here from Elliot Yeo which differs to the one they're about to see from Chris Maston.
Well, Chris Marston, give him something. Marston's trying to create a bit of energy in the place. They're beating the Bombies. He's getting excited. Give him something, Luke Shuey. I would have given him the high
Maybe
five.
not as much as Marston, but yeah.
No, a bit of excitement there. Right?
Good depth on the Tigers there, Lotto. Thanks for today. And thanks again for joining us on Access All Areas. Have a good week. Goodbye.